If you've been paying attention to the airline industry over the past year, you'll notice something. Airlines are changing, but these changes aren't like we've seen in the past. In fact, they're quite the opposite. Airlines are changing their identity and losing any uniqueness they had over their competitors. From Southwest adding assigned seats to Frontier eliminating change fees, the past year has resulted in a huge shakeup for the passenger experience. So the question is why? Because after all, the key to success in any other industry is differentiating yourself from the competition. So why is aviation different? It's no secret that airlines operate on razor-thin margins, so turndowns in passenger demand, rising labor and fuel costs, and new competitors can send anyone into the red. This thin margin can be demonstrated by looking at what's called RASM and CASM, revenue per available seat mile and cost per available seat mile. These terms are industry metrics used to better understand airline profitability. To better understand why these are important, let's look at operating revenue and operating income. If we were to just use total operating revenue, we'd get a picture that looks like this. By using the publicly available Q3 results of these airlines, we can see that the legacy airlines are still on top and in front of Southwest, as has been the case for a while now, but the big four are still billions ahead of the rest of the low-cost airlines. This ignores expense, however, so let's look at operating income, which is operating revenue minus operating expenses. And wow, this chart tells us a bit more. One is that American is hemorrhaging money. 2, United has really turned themselves around. And 3, Alaska is performing great. Good for them. It seems that when you look at this, the big four is a total lie. But to understand that, you need to know the size of the airlines, route networks, fleet size, and passengers carried. So this really isn't a fair way to look at profitability on a level playing field either. So now this brings us to RASM and CASM. RASM, revenue per available seat miles, calculated by taking operating revenue and dividing it by available seat miles. Think of available seat miles as a way to quantify how much space an airline has available to sell to its passengers. Let's look at Delta's RASM together as an example. Delta had north of $15 billion of operating revenue. This includes tickets, cargoes, and other travel services during the third quarter of 2024, and had an ASM of over 76,000 miles. So dividing these numbers, we find an average of $20.58. By the way, we use all revenue so that RASM can determine how well an airline is doing overall. To find CASM, we simply do the same math but with operating expense and get a result of $18.75. Let's compare this to our other airlines now. So here we can see the legacy airlines have the highest RASM and CASM, which makes sense since they offer the most services, they can charge more, but this obviously drives up cost. By subtracting CASM from RASM, we get a new term, PASM, which is profit per available seat mile, and is the best way in my opinion to compare airlines financially, because it takes size out of the equation by averaging. This is best shown by JetBlue's loss being second to American, but when PASM is used, it takes size out of the picture and shows JetBlue relative to American, since American is over 3 times bigger than JetBlue. So now that we have this new information, it's pretty clear what airlines are doing. The legacy airlines have pulled through COVID and their full service model has proven the most popular, but more importantly, profitable. Except for Americans, they really gotta fix whatever is going on over there. But it isn't just the full service. The legacy airlines have pushed basic economy as a way to compete with the low-cost carriers while pushing more premium fares over the past decade. This is total genius because the legacies can really sell any regular economy seat as basic economy and then upsell it to regular, because the only thing that's different is the soft product and service. This is basically what the low-cost carriers have been doing, but the legacies take this another step further now. After the legacies upsell you on a regular economy seat, they have many more opportunities to upsell you further by using premium cabins like premium economy, business, and first, depending on the aircraft you're on. On the flip side, a low-cost carrier can only upsell you a few seats as extra legroom, usually the exit row and the bulkhead seats. After that, unless the hardware is upgraded, there's really no chance to upcharge you, and that's where it starts to get ridiculous. Like what, are they going to start making you pay for the tray table? Wait, it's kind of a good idea. This area is where airlines are starting to make changes. We'll use Southwest and Frontier as examples here. While not changing any onboard seat products yet, Frontier is implementing different fares, or bundles as they call them, to better compare with what the legacy airlines are doing, instead of adding fees for everything that a customer wants. You can buy a bundle that includes a bag, seat assignment, and priority boarding, depending on what's most important to the customer. In addition to this, the airline is also getting rid of junk fees like the change fee. This is part of the Biden administration's effort to crack down on this sort of stuff. Southwest has taken this a step further by the introduction of a new hard product, which includes premium seating and a refreshed standard economy cabin. The new premium seating will include up to 5 inches of extra legroom for about a third of its cabin. This is a first for Southwest. Since the airline is set to offer premium seating, it will also start charging for seat assignments, which is something Southwest has never done before, as they've never had seat assignments. The key word here is charge. This is an effort to drive up RASM and is probably the best way to do so, since it doesn't cost the airline anything to let you pick where you want to sit, as long as you'll pay for it, so CASM stays the same. The other key factor that has made United and Delta so successful is their route network. Both airlines have really complex route networks, which sets them apart from the competition. And in a world where the competition is doing everything they can to shorten the gap in onboard product and service, the network is really what customers are buying into more than anything else. This is why the legacies have such brand loyalty, because as much as we talk about fleet commonality being a good thing for airlines, a 737 MAX or A320neo can only fly so many routes. But when you operate all of these type of planes, in the case of Delta, you can basically fly anywhere from anywhere while having a diverse onboard product offering that fits anyone, but more importantly, it fits anyone's budget. If we take a look at JetBlue's route network, we see it's mainly focused on the East Coast and the Caribbean, with routes off to Europe and the West Coast. What this map isn't telling you though is that for years, JetBlue has been trying to gain traction in the West Coast market, and they've made several attempts at doing so. These attempts include, but are not limited to, trying to take over 2 airlines to tap into their West Coast market, and these have failed. JetBlue is also spreading themselves pretty thin with their European routes, and this has resulted in the airline losing money, as they currently are now. But if we look at Alaska, which is basically West Coast JetBlue, they've been very successful in developing regional loyalty, through not only expanding their own network, but by taking over Virgin America, a West Coast competitor, and now Hawaiian. The key difference between JetBlue and Alaska is Alaska has been very successful by bolstering its West Coast network and building on brand loyalty that they already have in their own market. And they've been able to reach into other markets by the acquisition of competitors like Hawaiian and by joining oneworld to have access to its members and international customers. In conclusion, airlines are adapting to survive in a competitive industry with thin profit margins by focusing on revenue management like upselling premium services and optimizing route networks. By doing this, airlines like Frontier and Southwest will be able to better compete with the legacy airlines. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm JP from JP's Aviation. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing, liking, and sharing. Leave a comment down below and let me know your thoughts on this. Again, thank you all so much for watching. I'm JP from JP's Aviation, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.